hour or so, CBS released some sound from a 60 Minutes interview that Steve Bannon did that is going to air Sunday night. A lot of news in this interview with the former senior strategist from the White House. I want you to listen to how he talks about White House staffers who have been critical in some cases behind the scenes or in front of the scenes of the president himself. Listen.
You can tell him, hey, maybe you could do it a better way, but if you're going to break, then resign. If you're going to break with him, resign. The stuff that was leaked out that week by certain members of the White House I thought was unacceptable. If you find it unacceptable, you should resign.
So who are you talking about?
I'm talking about, obviously, about Gary Cohn and some other people, that if you don't like what he's doing and you don't agree with it, you have an obligation to resign.
So Gary Cohn should have resigned.
Absolutely.
Not much subtlety in that, Senator Santorum. You know, that's what we call stabbing in the front right there. Steve Bannon to Gary Cohn. Senator, your reaction?
Well, I mean, you know, the point that if you don't agree with the president, you should resign, I would suggest that there's some gradations to that it depends on what you're disagreeing on. If it's something that is truly foundational and you find abhorrent and that you can't support, you can't be quiet about, then you probably should step away. I mean, that if it's big enough and it violates your principles enough that you don't feel should continue to serve, then you should probably step away. So I think that's what Steve was saying, and I think he felt that issue was an important enough issue. Look, no staffer is going to agree with what the president does all the time. The question is, what your obligation is not to go out there and counter the president. You're there to serve the president, and that is as part of his staff. And if you should keep your disagreements between the two of you and not go out and try to publicly discredit the president. And I think that was the second point Steve was making.
Hillary Rosen, quickly before we go, you're chuckling? Why?
Well, because it's just ridiculous. Steve Bannon, makes his views as well known as Gary Cohn does. I think a lot of them, the fact that this is a White House of personalities and not a White House of good, thoughtful policy, reflects the fact that Donald Trump does not have an ideology that benefits the American people. Let's not make too big a deal out of this quote democratic deal. We're still accomplishing nothing for the country. We did end up paying for needed hurricane relief, but we are still not moving forward, and nothing is getting done, and that lays at Donald Trump's feet and this infighting.
Although, look, if we have a moment of bipartisanship, which have been rare for years, I think we at least need to acknowledge that it's happening, even if it only lasts three months. It's a 3-month extension on the national debt, which should not be political anyway. Come on. That's not exactly getting something done. That's saying, oh, yeah, we tactically agreed with Democrats instead of tactically agreeing with Republicans.
I think, look, we gotta leave it there, but I do think for people that this means more hurricane relief to.
That's important.
It's getting something done for them, but I take your point. Hillary Rosen, thank you. Rebecca Berg, Rick Santorum, thank you.